and I am here today to share with you my process for creating a 2-page 12 by 12 traditional scrapbook layout. I do all kinds of memory keeping. I do traditional scrapbooking that can come in a variety of different sizes. I do 6 by 8, I do mini books, I do, let's see what else, all kinds of different shapes and sizes. But today I am wanting to share my process with you for creating this traditional page with a very specific jumping off point, or a very specific challenge that was actually issued to me by Katie, who works for me. And what happened was I was talking to her about these super cute little rubber pieces that were part of our Foodie collection that we released earlier this year. You can see them here. There's a watermelon, there's an avocado, there's a taco, there's an ice cream cone, and there's a Chinese takeout guy there. And I was saying to her that I felt like these were so cute that I didn't want to use them, or I didn't know how to use them, or I was just like, sometimes some things are so cute where we end up treating them way too preciously. Is preciously a word? We make them way more precious than they need to be. And so she basically told me one of the things that I tell other people, which is just use your stuff. Use your stuff to help support the stories that you want to tell. And so that's the challenge that she issued to me. So I am going to tell a story using these pieces as the jumping off point for my story. And as you'll see when you look down here, what I decided to do is, as I looked back through my photos since the beginning of this year, 2019, I picked out photos that had people sitting around our dining room table or our breakfast table. It's where we eat basically all of our meals. And this is a story that I have told before, this concept of around the table. What happens at this table in our house? Homework, conversation, meals, all of those kinds of things. I love finding spaces in my house or spaces in my life that can be a lens through which we identify stories. So in this case, looking back from January through July, we're in July right now, seeing what photos had I taken of people sitting at this table. And as I knew was the case, I had taken a number of them. So I printed out 11 different photos from different points in time of people, mostly the kids, there's one of me, sitting at this table. And with the Foodie collection, we had cards and chipboard and lots of different products that can support stories about meals, about sitting at your table, about coffee, about eating and drinking, about gathering together, those kinds of things that are related to food, which that makes up a really big piece of our lives. So I've got 11 4x6 vertical photos that I've identified and placed down here. This is just on 2 sheets of 12 by 12 cardstock. One of the 4x6 cards in the collection has a big around the table circle on it. I may use this card right here. I may end up cutting out this circle and adding it on as a title. I'm just leaving it there for right now. There are other sentiments like the fondest memories are made when gathered around the table, a story about food right now. These are all ones that were part of that collection, talking about cooking, talking about food. So I know for sure that I'm going to use this. I also know for sure that I'm going to use these rubber pieces, and most likely I'm going to use them as accents to go along with the pictures that I've added on here. And there's 5 of them, so obviously they're not going to go on every single photo. But that's part of what I'm kind of thinking about right now. How do I want to incorporate those rubber pieces into this page where I'm talking about stories from around our table. There was also a really cute stamp set that went with this one. That around the table design is on there. It's got a cute coffee cup with more coffee please, the heart. It's on one of these 3x4 cards. There's no love sincerer than the love of food. So lots of things that can help you tell these kinds of stories. These are great, especially if you're doing Project Life and you're looking for 3x4 cards to support that everyday life kind of storytelling. These are great for that as well. I could totally see using the Love this around the table. That as an accent, I could almost even see these rubber pieces may fit right on top of there, which would be a cute way to accent. And I think that I may end up going in that direction. So let's kind of see how I decide. I don't know, when I start a project like this, like I don't know exactly where it's going to end up. I know I have an initial inclination. In this case, I have a specific jumping off point or a specific challenge, which is use those rubber pieces. And then I have a story concept that I want to build on, this idea of around the table. And like I said, I have done projects or told stories before about gathering around the table or people coming together around the table. What are the things that happen at this table in our house? You know, like I said, conversation, meals, all those kinds of things. And I like that I've told that story before, and that this will be kind of an updated version of what does it look like now at this point in time, which definitely probably looks different than when I told the story last time. One of the things that looks significantly different is all the people in my house are significantly bigger. They are bigger kids than when I told this story before, and I think that will be a really fun thing to look back on in the future as well. So I think what I'm going to do is I am going to do a journaling block, and it is going to be a vertical one or a journaling card. I'm going to do that. I'm going to cut this out because I like the idea of cutting that out. I like the idea of stamping on those to use as accents around the page, and then placing the rubber pieces on top. I may pull out some of the chipboard pieces as well. There were some good ones that were may fit really well with telling this story as well. And here is my little sticky note to myself that says, Katie is challenging me to use these because I'm feeling like they are too cute to use. Use the stuff. So here I go. I'm going to use this stuff. All right, for this one, I started off with doing the stamping first. So I'm using that circle stamp from the Foodie collection, 4x6 stamp set, and I'm stamping it. I think I did it 6 times just in case I needed an extra one. I'm using Memento Luxe inks, and my plan is simply to hand cut these out and then adhere those rubber pieces down onto my layout there. I considered using a circle punch for this one and then decided against it to instead have a more organic looking or to have more organic looking circles when I cut them out. So I'm just using my scissors to hand cut them out and then laying them down on my layout, just kind of getting a sense of where they would go. Like you can tell that I haven't adhered down my photos yet. I'm just kind of still in the planning phase of where would I want to put these if I was going to use these on here. As I was doing this, I knew that I did really like how this looked, like giving those cute little rubber embellishments a home on top of the stamp really felt like it was a way to bring them all together. I think that they look cute on their own. They would be great as like the beginning of a journaling, like instead of a number for a journaling section or for a paragraph or something like that, instead of a number, using those small rubber pieces as a jumping off point. I think that would work really cool. But here they work really well, I think, as accents. I grabbed one of the chipboard pieces. You can see that I did go ahead and use a digital card from this collection. We do have digital pieces as well. I made a 4x6 vertical card using the 4x6 or one of the 4x6 cards that has the yum repeated on the top there, and went ahead and just added my journaling to the base of that. And in the journaling, I talked a little bit about what we do at the table. I talked a little bit about food. I talked a little bit, it was a lot about how right now at this phase in our lives, everybody is going in a million different directions, which is part of the fun of capturing who happens to be at the table at any given point in time. And so that was a lot of what I talked about in the journaling. I went back and forth with 2 different chipboard pieces to put in the center of the around the table part. I decided to add the heart that says "more of this, please," because the story that I'm telling here is less about food and more about people gathering around the table and the different things that happen there at the table, one of which is food. And so that's why I feel like using the rubber embellishments for this is a great way to support this story. I am using red line tape to adhere those rubber pieces down onto the stamped around the table circles. Red line tape is the adhesive that I recommend for any kind of rubber. I know that some people in the past have had issues with different kinds of adhesive reacting with their photos. So this is one that hasn't reacted for me. That's been my personal experience, which is why it is what I use on top to be able to adhere any rubber pieces down. So I'm going through that process. Another thing you saw me do is I pulled off the chipboard piece that I had added on to the top of my journaling. Partly that was because my heart says, the heart chipboard piece that I use says more of this, please. And I think that the chipboard piece that I had on there said something else like, yes, more please. And I just decided I wanted something else. And so I grabbed the feed me please one instead. And I'll just put that other one that I pulled off into my stash of chipboard pieces that I can come back to and grab on in the future. Right now I'm just going through and arranging these. I like putting embellishments like this, circle embellishments especially, on seams. So the seams are the place where the photos meet, so on those vertical lines that are created by the meeting of the photos. I also decided to add one more. It just felt like it needed one additional piece there, so I used that other one that I stamped. I looked in my stash, I grabbed some white number stickers, and I went ahead and added the number 19 on there for the year. I'm always trying to remember to get the dates onto things when I do large scrapbook pages like this, and so getting the 1 and the 9 on there helped me feel like I completed my story by making sure I had the date on there as well. This was a super fun one to put together. Let me know if you have any questions. I felt like this was a great way to use my stuff. All right, that's a wrap on this storytelling project. Please join me here for another one. Check out my blog or subscribe for more storytelling, memory keeping, and scrapbooking inspiration.